Love that so much, and I'm so glad that you're helping bring our book into the world. We're so excited, Karen. We're just, I'm speaking on behalf of all 27 of us. We cannot wait to see this book. It's just been such a beautiful journey to be on so far, and this is without anybody even having read the book and telling us how much they love it. It's already been such a beautiful process, and we've seen the growth from each of the authors in sharing their stories, and I feel so grateful that you're partnering with us to help make this whole project possible, because it is really beautiful.
It's such a privilege, and one of the things where it's like the cream on the cake, because you and Katie always, like my journey really kicked off at the 2015 Osmond conference, and I've grown alongside you guys. I always show up every year for the Osmond conference as best as I can, and I've grown exponentially because of the skills that I've learned and the connections, and just finding my tribe and being in a safe place to grow in, and that is having people that are cheering you on and going, yes, go you, and we cheer each other on, and it's just the most beautiful thing to be part of. There's no competition, it's all collaboration, it's all, everyone just out for each other. And the success strategies that I picked up pretty fast when I joined the network, and seen and observed how people did things, I applied to my business, and it absolutely just mushroomed. And to be able to bring, because I'm a mom of 6, I have no right to be sitting and doing what I do, but I absolutely claim it, and I do it with all of my heart. And my values are quite the same as Rachel's, is that, love and kindness. Like, I do everything with loving intention. And because I'm working, like, having a book is not just about having a book in your hands. Publishing a book is a self-development journey for every single one of us authors in this book have grown a little bit in the process. Some more than others. I've been through this process a lot, and I do grow alongside everyone that's part of it, because the energy combines, it lifts us, and then it bursts out into the world. It's just such a beautiful process. Yeah.
Oh, so exciting. Thank you so much, Karen.
Oh, it's such a privilege and an honor and a joy to be part of it in this way. And we do have a flip book that we will be sharing quite soon with everyone to have a squiz over when the print copies are on their way. So that'll be with you in the next day or so.
So exciting. We cannot wait. Well, thank you so much, Karen. And thank you so much to all of our authors who've joined us today and have shared about their chapters and their stories with us. We would now like to introduce our next presenter. We have another workshop happening this afternoon with Rachael Ferguson. Hi, Rachael.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Good, we're good. So I'm so excited to hear your presentation.
Yes. Now, bear with me 1 second while I get it up. I should have been more organised. Hang on.
All good, we're all here. So Rachael, the format we'll follow is you'll give your presentation and then we'll ask questions at the end.
Okay, great. Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, just make sure you jot down your questions along the way as we go, and we'll do some Q&As at the end.
Okay, so let me I'm going to share the screen with you all now, ladies.
Beautiful, thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, looks great.
Okay, so let me just start here. Wonderful. So I'm going to talk to you about aligning your values, finding your purpose, and growing your business, because these are all the things that I realized were really important to me to turn my business around. And I think, like everyone else, when you're working so hard and you're just not getting anywhere, it can be really disappointing. And a lot of people can end up leaving at that point. So I think it's really important to get this message out there that if you are struggling, there's so many things that you can do to push yourself to that next level that doesn't cost money. So I'm going to talk to you, hang on a second, a little bit. So my chapter is all about taking big but calculated risks. So for me, I love embracing the unknown. So like Karen was mentioning before, I don't fear failure, because what I have learned is failure will often teach us what we need to know, and it will push us to the next level. So I think it's really important to be agile and adaptable. And when I say agile and adaptable, I mean being able to make decisions quickly and act on them straight away, because, you know, by not moving fast, that's how you miss opportunities. And by doing that, it's much easier to grow and evolve. But I also find it's really important that if you're going to take big risks in business, you need to make sure your mindset is healthy. And that's what I'll be talking to you about, because it is extremely important. So, the discussion that we're going to have today will be a little bit about my journey, my time on Shark Tank, how I overcame a lot of my challenges, and then going back to basics. So finding your purpose, aligning your values, you know, giving back or altruism and what that means to me and to your purpose, and then how to flip all of that into growing your business. And then finally, just a little bit about community and mentorship, which I think is vital in business. So my journey. So over the last 10 years, it has not been an easy ride. So as I mentioned before, I started 2 businesses at once in 2010, which was really quite crazy. And what I learned was that I wanted to develop a product that fitted into a wider range of shoes than what was currently on the market. So myself and my business partner, Marie Lewis, we designed an insole together through 3D imagery. And then we traveled to the Canton Fair in 2011. Has anyone been to the Canton Fair? I don't know. Have you been, Peace? I can't remember if we were talking about that before. No, I think you're on silent. So when I went to the Canton Fair, it was quite an experience. I got to see a lot of products. So if you haven't been there before, it's kilometers long. It's so huge, and it will push your mind further than you could have ever imagined. So I highly recommend it for any entrepreneurs that want a little bit of experience into commercializing products, because it's very, very valuable. So we traveled to China probably 3 times that year, visited lots of different factories, and finally got our products out into the big world in 2012. And so we first marketed to physios, podiatrists, chiropractors, and osteopaths. And we traveled a lot during that time, and we really just were going nowhere fast. And that's just the reality of it, because it was such a niche product in a huge market, but yet a lot of health professionals, it's really hard, you know, when you're traveling around and try and reach them, you're not actually getting direct to consumers. So you have to spend a lot to advertise and reach them. So that was probably the first mistake we realized. And in 2015, we went on Shark Tank, and we decided that we wanted to bring our product into the retail space, which was pharmacy and the end consumer. So that's what we did on Shark Tank. And then by 2017, our businesses were not thriving. So that's when I had to really take a good look at what I was doing and where I was heading, and make some clear changes. And the changes that I made in 2017 is what propelled my business forward and enabled me to land a deal in Chemist Warehouse in 2018, which was only just a couple of years ago. So my Shark Tank journey. So basically, in 2015, I went on Shark Tank and got a deal with Andrew. So what that meant was, up until that point, myself and Marie had bootstrapped our company. So we had invested a lot of money into it, which was for our patents and international trademarks and manufacturing. So when Andrew bought into our business, it just paid down our debt. So basically, we were a brand new business starting from scratch. So whilst that was great, it also meant that, you know, that opportunity got rid of our debt, but we had to start again. And what I also had to deal with having investors is, all of a sudden you have a lot of this input and advice from other people. And, you know, that can be an adjustment process. So looking back on that time, I am so grateful for that experience, for that relationship, and that strong bond that I still have with Andrew and his assistant, Trisha. But looking back as an entrepreneur in 2017, and what I didn't know back then, it was quite a challenging year. So we had to adapt and mature and really look at all the processes in our business and create a much more professional company. But even after doing all that, we still continue to struggle despite, TV exposure. So by that stage, I've been on Studio 10. I've been back on Shark Tank twice in updates episodes as well. So we'd had a lot of exposure, but we still couldn't make it. So the realization time for me was in 2017. It really was my most challenging and difficult year. I just remember starting that year thinking like, I can't keep doing this. Like I was burnt out, I was overworked, emotional, as many people are. Both my businesses weren't doing well. And what was happening in my situation was I wasn't getting paid from SynxBody because SynxBody wasn't profitable yet. So I was working in my clinic to draw a wage, but yet my time and energy and focus was on the other business. So it was almost like that whole robbing Peter to pay Paul situation. And my businesses just were not thriving. My partnership wasn't working as well, which happens in business. So whilst I think partnerships are really amazing, and they can be, what makes and breaks a lot of huge companies. For our situation, we'd got to a point where we worked so well together for so many years, but all of a sudden, as I was talking before about values, they can change. So, children, priorities, things change. And for us, it just wasn't suitable for us. So we had to really restructure to overcome a lot of those challenges. And that all happened in 2017. And what I realized during that time of searching was that the thing that needed to change was me. So after hitting rock bottom, it was time to make some drastic changes. So I read that book, Hal Elrod. And part of his morning routine is about reading every day. So that's what's got me into a really good habit now of reading, even if it's only for 10 minutes. I've got so many different books and I'll just pick them up. And even if I just take something from it, I'll always make time to read and learn every single day. So I meditate, I journal, I do a vision board. And I think it's really important with vision boards that you can change them, but I think it's really important to have them because up until that point, I'd never had a vision board before. And now this is like the third year that I've had one now. Everything that I put on my vision board, I make sure I focus on and I think about and visualize every single day. And even every single year, even in 2020, which I didn't get, a lot of things changed, but there was still a lot of things on there that I ticked off, which was incredible. And for me, with my values, one of my highest core values is being challenged. And I think learning and being challenged and constantly learning is so important to me. So making sure I allocate enough time to read, to listen to other entrepreneurs, to mentor people. It's really important because it helps to make sure my cup is full. And exercise. So exercise is super important. I just use an app on my phone. It's actually the Kick app, which I find is really great. And I just do 20 minutes, that's all. So whether it's yoga, whether it's weights, whether it's, ab work, as long as I'm doing something every day, I feel good. And I also got myself a business coach. So up until that point, if anyone had told me that, go get a business coach, I would have thought, A, that's an expense I don't have. And B, what do I need to know? Like, as much as I'm learning everything, what are they going to do for me? And what I learned was a good business coach, like I have, they look at your personal and professional goals and make sure you're accountable and aligning to both. And that's something that I hadn't considered. So we looked at my top 5 values, which I speak about in the book, and identified my purpose. Now, the purpose, like if I actually asked you this question, what is your purpose? I'm going to challenge and ask you to think about that now, because thinking about what your purpose is can be so different for everyone. But what I realized for me, that my purpose was a bit of both. So my purpose was to build and to have a loving home for my family. So for my children to grow up in a loving, happy home. And also it was to feel my purpose of helping others. So being a podiatrist, I love that feeling of being able to help someone fix their problems. And for me, it was making sure that my purpose was fulfilled. So moving away from my clinic, I had to make sure that I wasn't losing a part of myself like that. So I've put that back into helping patients with products and also giving knowledge. So I talk a lot on the radio about different foot conditions. I write blogs about it. And I just really try and bring that awareness of foot health and do lots of little videos, even on our own website, about how to treat plantar fasciitis, how to treat heel pain, all these different conditions. But for me, that's my way of fulfilling that purpose for me, which is about helping others. And then also building my life for my family and for my children. And that's really important that all of that works for me, because prior to reviewing that, I wasn't fulfilling that main purpose, which to what made me feel good inside for my children. So I was so busy and I wasn't giving them undivided attention at certain times of the day. So going back to that and making sure that was fulfilled was the real game changer for making me feel better and for making my children, obviously feel a lot happier too. So I made these changes to my life and my habits. And what I also started to do was I created more spare time. So time that was just non-negotiable time. So for my kids and for activities that they wanted to do and for the things that mattered to me. And I started to say no more. And that is a really interesting thing, because a lot of times I know for me, I'm a people pleaser. I don't like to say no to people. But what I learned was sometimes it's actually better to say no and to give yourself more time than to, rush around trying to do everything and then create this space where you're flustered. So that was a big game changer for me. And I'm even though through 2017 and 2018, I had to say no a lot. As my life's got easier and as things have got better, I've been able to say yes to more things as well. So I think it doesn't have to be no forever. And the big realization for me after reading Emma Isaac's book, Winging It, which I absolutely loved, she was talking about how, your burners, you can have, certain stages of your life, you can have different burners up higher at different times. And it might be business and family, might be your higher priorities, which means your friends and your social life might suffer a little bit through periods of your time. So for me, through 2017, 2018, I had to really just put my family and my business first. So the things that didn't fit into that with the values and with everything else, I had to really decide to myself that these people love me, my friends love me, they know that I want to be there, but sometimes they're going to have to understand that I can't. And true friendships will completely understand that. And that's what I realized through that time. I also made sure that I aligned my business goals with my future plans, because it's really easy to have this idea of what you want, but then all of a sudden the steps that you're taking each day are never going to get you there, or your goals are, down here when they really should be up here. So that was quite an important process for me to go through with my business coach. And it's very, it's such a process. Like we were talking about, writing books and learning so much about yourself, actually having a coach and being accountable and getting a lot of that information out of what do you want? It is such a game changer for knowing what you want to achieve in your life, because it helps you get to my next point, which is to have 5 personal and 5 business goals. So every 6 months, I make sure I look at what's happened, what have I achieved, what haven't I achieved, what do I want to change? And then I'll get another 5 business goals and another 5 personal goals. And then I make sure all my actions are leading me towards those goals every 6 months. And since I've done that, I've found I've been able to smash out those targets every 6 months and more. Whereas prior to the 7 years before that, I was going nowhere fast. So I think that was a really important realization for me. I think it's really important to have a clear and creative mind. And how I got this clear and creative mind was doing all those things before. So as soon as I flipped the switch on my health, I focused on myself. And then all of a sudden, it allowed me to see clearly what needed to be done, which was really important. So, in my situation, I had this product which was black packaging and it was really lost on the shelf. And so what it allowed me to do was look at it and go, well, how can I be different? How can I be better than those people? And how can I stand out more? So I did a huge overhaul in the packaging. I did the 3 new brands, which was Synx Jelly, Synx Plus, and Synx Lace. And then I added in another 10 products. So this was back in the beginning of 2018. And this, what I'm showing you now is the latest packaging that we did. So we went away from black and we've come back to bright, colorful, what's going to attract people on the shelf. And so far it's been extremely successful. And by doing this, it allowed me to land a deal with Chemist Warehouse. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that, because this was a really good learning point for me as well, that you have to persist with people in life. So for me, I'd gone to Chemist Warehouse a couple of years before, not me personally, but one of my distributors had tried to pitch our product to them. They said no, they weren't interested. So that was probably after Shark Tank, maybe in about 2015. So when I called Chemist Warehouse and wanted to show them our products, I rang and spoke with one of the buyers, and they told me, yeah, sounds interesting. Just send your product over and, I'll see what I think. So I sent the product over, I followed them up, and that was when they said, you know what, call me again in 3 months. So again, I diarised to call them in 3 months. And when I called them, they said, yeah, come over, we'll have a meeting. So I went over to Melbourne, sat down in the meeting. They looked at the product. They loved it. Within 4 weeks, we'd done the deal. So our products went into 400 stores overnight. And this deal allowed us to have a lot more capital for product development. So over the last 2 years, I've really worked so well with that relationship with Chemist Warehouse. We have such a strong relationship that they've allowed me to add more products into the range. And we now have about 9 products in every Chemist Warehouse store in Australia, and our sales are really strong. So I guess the point that I was trying to make with this is, don't be disheartened when someone says no, because I could have walked away from that and said, no, they already said no, they weren't interested. But you just have to keep persisting and building those relationships, because eventually you can turn those no's into yeses. So even with some of the other buyers that I'm working with and have been working with for a while, I'm still just slowly chipping away at those relationships, and hopefully I'll be able to make avenues into those businesses or those brands as well. So this then brings me to what happened at the end of last year. So from 2017 to 2019, I worked super hard in getting our company, turning our company around. And then last year I got to go to New York, where I won the Gold Stevie Award for Female Entrepreneur of the Year in Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. So that was such a turning point for me, because I was unsure if I was going to go on that trip. I'd entered the awards, and I don't know if you know much about the Stevie Awards, but they're such an incredible an award program, because you actually get told if you've won something before you go. So you know whether or not, okay, should I make the trip, because I know I'm at least going to get up on stage once, but you don't know what you've won. So there was no way in my wildest dreams that I thought I had won the gold. So what an experience it was. I traveled over there, won that award, and then from then on, I've won a lot more awards. Also was a finalist in the Telstra Women's Business Awards this year, a winner in the Osmompreneur of the Year in bronze, which was also awesome. Thank you, Peace and Katie. And I also won the 40 under 40 for WA, and I was the first amongst equals winner. So that's pretty huge here in WA, and it's opened up the doors to so many different opportunities for me. I was even just sitting on a panel on Friday with the Treasurer of WA, and getting interviewed on a panel with, the head of Bank West and the head of Bank West Economic Centre, talking about the state of our WA and Australian economy. And, if you'd asked me if I would have been doing something like that 2 years ago, I would have said no way. So I can't explain the value of winning awards and putting yourself out there, because it really does open the door to so much possibility and opportunity. So what I'm going to challenge you to think about is what matters to you. So for me, how I turned my business around was to get really clear on my top values. So for me, and, I'm really big on, obviously love and kindness are my top 2, but honesty and integrity are so important to me, as well as being challenged. And so when I say being challenged, for me, it was about learning, my desire to learn. I don't have all the answers. I'm continually learning. I'm continually absorbing as much information as I can to make my company better, to do more for my customers, to do more for my community. So for me, being challenged is extremely important. And then also health and wellness. So if health and wellness matters to you, make sure that you're taking steps each day to make that a priority. So whether it's eating better food, prepping food, making time for exercise, even taking time to go to the beach, like Karen was talking about, those sorts of things are so important to you, because once you fill your cup, you will absolutely be able to help others. You know, it's almost like that saying on a plane, like you put your oxygen mask on first, then help your children. It is so vital, because you're going to show up as a better version of yourself every single day if you're at your optimum. And so the other question I want to ask you are, who are the people that matter to you, and how are you showing up for them each day? So if your priority, like it was for me, I'm doing this business for my children, for my family, but how am I showing up for them each day? You know, I'm drained, I'm tired. I'm, you know, probably not the happiest version of myself. So I had to really focus on, you know, what am I going to do to shift that perspective so that I show up each day to them as the best version of myself. And the values that I want to instill in them is all about, you know, love and kindness, generosity, doing things for others, being, you know, so I need to be able to make sure I'm showing them that every single day. And then what do you need to be that best version? You need to fill your cup. So for me, it was really coming back to those basics. And you know what, even though I'm standing here on the other side telling you how important this is, we're all human. So we all slip out of these so easily, including myself. But I don't worry about it. I don't sweat it. I just recognize it and then get right back into it when I can. And I think that's the most important part of this, is that it's a continual process to keep reminding ourselves of what matters to us. So finding your purpose. So, and I'll come back now to talking about leaving my clinic, because, you know, obviously I started both of those businesses so passionate about both of them. But what I realized after years of working is that I had this big dream, and it was so much bigger than just the area of my clinic and just servicing that community. I wanted bigger. So for me, I had to go, okay, so if it comes down to it, what makes your heart light up? Like, what gives you goosebumps? What inspires you? And for me, it was running SynxBody as a company and being a podiatrist and giving that information. So almost being like a public speaker and community awareness, driving awareness of podiatry and the health profession. Like, for me, that's what lights me up inside. So when I had to decide, like, can you imagine doing anything else? And I talk about this in the book. The question is, like, if someone came to you tomorrow and said, here is $20 million, would you still want to wake up the next day and do the job that you're doing? Because for me, it would always be yes. It doesn't matter how much money I had. This is my purpose. This is what makes me whole. And if you can't answer that question, I think it is something that really makes you wonder, are you on the right path, or is there something that will be more aligned to what your purpose? And then with your purpose, does it align with your values, right? Because that's also really important. So for me, you know, spreading word about podiatry, developing products, it's all about even our customer service with our company. Like, we are just we feel overboard with kindness with our customers. So if they ring up with a problem, if they email, you know I can't do it for everyone, but you know, if there's an issue, it's not unusual for me to pick up the phone and call the customer myself as a CEO, because for me, if I think I'm the podiatrist and I'm the person that's going to give them the best advice, then I'll absolutely do that. And we're just really big on, you know, if an order's been delayed for whatever reason, send them out a surprise gift, you know, with their order, a free pair of laces, or if they've had problems with an insole and they want to return it, because we have a 30-day refund policy, which thankfully not many people refund their insoles. But whenever we do have a situation like that, we'll quite often say to the patient, you know what, you haven't really given it the time frame to get used to it. We're happy to refund you on this occasion, but please keep the product. Like, we want you to try it again, because sometimes it does take people a little bit longer to adjust to insoles. So for me anyway, it's about making sure that whatever it is that you're doing aligns with all your values and your purpose, and that you're true to yourself. And then the other thing that I've just slotted in there is all about backup income. So with any new business, I think it's really important that you don't start your business with the purpose of having, you know, a huge amount of income straight away. For me, I had to sink money into my business and lose out for 7 years before it became profitable. And after speaking to many entrepreneurs, it's often like this. So I think, you know, more ways that you can actually have other income streams will free up your pressure on that business, and also give you a little bit of cash to inject into that if you need to. So for me, it was obviously being a podiatrist and doing that side of it until I could switch over and get paid and remove myself from that role. But I think it's really important that even if it's having a job with someone a few days a week or outsourcing some skills that you have, it's really important that you have some sort of backup income to take that pressure off you. Okay, so this one is a really important one for me because it's all about how is your purpose fulfilling your altruistic desires. So what does it mean to be truly altruistic? So it's doing something for others, like, you know, and not even people that you know. So for strangers, to actually be truly, you know, unselfish and want to do something for other people. So for me, I've always had that desire in me, and I think a lot of it comes from my parents and how they raised me. But after, you know, speaking to so many people in this community, and especially the Mompreneur community, everyone feels the same, and I think that is just so extremely powerful. That we want to be better and we want to help others. You know, we want to help that stranger if we see someone. So for me, knowing that I can go out there and, you know, talk about podiatry conditions, or I can help people with some of the advice I give them, you know, and how to treat things, or even how to run businesses or mentor other people, and, you know, do that community work and charity work. I think it's really important to your soul to make you feel like, yes, I'm growing, I'm evolving, I'm running a business, but I'm also helping others. And then, you know, whilst you're doing that, it's also looking at how can you carry those traits through to your business. So for us, we do it in a product way. We donate a lot of products to different areas. So in WA, we donate to the Wheat Belt communities, to the podiatry clinics in there, and then they actually give those products out to less fortunate people, which was, you know, was really important to be able to do that. And also with a lot of homeless shelters, we donate products to them. We also give donation of sales where we can. So obviously when there was the fires that are in January, we, you know, donated a proportion of our sales to that. Cystic fibrosis, we raise a lot of awareness of that as well, and donate that. And it actually makes us feel really, really good inside. So I think the more that you can fulfill your altruistic desires, it'll just, you know, elevate you even more, to feel good and also know that you're making a difference and an impact. And another thing just to ask you is that making sure you live by your values. So how do you live by your values? You know, and for me, I find it's a really conscious, like it's a conscious thing, but as long as everything I say and I do aligns with how I really feel inside, I feel that then I'm showing up authentically as myself, but then also I'm feeling good inside because I'm true to my values. So, you know, if for me anyway, if, you know, having a comment or, you know, saying something that wasn't kind or anything, it just wouldn't align right and wouldn't sit right with me. So I think it's really important that we all make sure that we just align with what matters to us. So how can we grow our business? So we've gone and spoken about, you know, sorry, 1 second. Just got to realize my computer charger needs charging. So knowing how can we grow our business? So if we're looking at our business, we've talked a lot today about delegation, and that is so extremely important. I didn't get to write about this in my chapter because I didn't have time, but to scale, you absolutely need to know what you're good at and stick to it, because not every person is going to be good at everything. And I think it's really important that you outsource jobs that take too much of your time and jobs that you enjoy less, and focus on your strengths. And that's not to say that you don't know how to do them. It just means that, you know, you'll get more done if you actually stick to the things that you're more efficient at, and if you get other people to help you. But I also think it's important as entrepreneurs that we learn as much as you can. And that might be doing courses. So often for me, like, even though we outsource a lot of our social strategy, I have learned those steps along the way. So I know how to do Facebook advertising. I know how to create leads. I know how to do funnels. I know a lot of those things, so that if I ever had to step in and take over, I know how to do it. But I also let that go to the experts as well. So for me, I found that was a big game changer when I finally let that support in. And I did speak about that a little bit in my chapter. It's definitely a work in progress for me, but every month, every quarter, I'm giving a little bit more, and I'm getting a little bit more time back for me to focus on the high-end strategy stuff that's going to take us to the next step. So I really encourage everyone. It's basically about the small habits. So show up every day with small steps. That will make a huge difference to your business. Just consistently doing this, you know, having that time, carving out that time, whether it's I'm going to have an hour on a Monday to do my content creation, you know, and I'm going to do that every week, and then slowly watching that build up, or, you know, just having just some little processes, because I promise you, like, there's another book, Atomic Habits. I think it's by James Clear from memory. I'll have to double check that, but Atomic Habits, it's a really good book, and it's all about the small little habits that build up over time. And I'm such a strong believer in that. Financial backing to scale. So that's a really important one, because as I've seen lately, especially Peace, with you and Katie sharing a lot of businesses at the moment that I've seen, I've loved that. I really have. That's been really important for me, because as someone who, I'm not on the you know, I don't have a trading account. So someone who doesn't have a trading account and doesn't know much about buying shares, I've wanted to start getting in and backing these other businesses, and not sure how to do it, and how to do it in a way that actually makes a difference. So for me, it's, you know, that has been really, really important. And I think that just highlights the importance of how much more women need to know about that, because, you know, as women backing women, it makes us feel good. It's coming back to that whole supporting other women in business, but also investing and building our own savings as well, which is really important. So I think women having more access to scaling is definitely important, but also as business owners, we need those connections, so that when, and this opportunity, if it does come up for us, we know who to go to. Not everyone has a shark like Andrew Banks on the side. So I am very grateful to have him. But I think the more you network and discuss and talk to other people, if you ever do want to be in that situation, you'll be introduced to the right people. So I think it's very important we keep that conversation open. And then my final tip that I'm just going to throw in there is free up your time. So free up your time. For me, back in 2017, when, you know, my businesses weren't doing great, you know, getting a cleaner and hiring a nanny were kind of like financially not great ideas for me at that point. But what I figured out was you can change your budget. So you can change the things that matter to you, even just for a short space of time, even if it's coffee every day, or it's something that you're going to let go of to get to actually find those things that are going to help you scale. So having a cleaner for me, yep, that is a game changer, because it keeps my house in order, and then it gives me back time to actually allocate more to my business. And when I had to travel a lot in 2017 and 2018, I had to have a nanny for my kids. And that wasn't full time. She just, every time I did business trips, she would come and help my husband and the kids. And that really put my mind at ease. So whilst I think it's not always achievable for everyone, if it makes your house function easier, and it opens up that time for you to earn more money in other avenues, it ends up being something that's worthwhile for your business. So I think that was really important for me, because up until 2017, I hadn't used any of that outside help, and I was doing everything myself. And there's something to be said for getting outside help and actually making a difference to your life as well, which I thought was good. And my final thing I'm going to talk to you about is community and mentorship. So for me, this has been a huge game changer too, as we've seen with the Osmompreneur community. Community groups for women in business are on social media. There's so many of them. There's local state ones, there's national ones, and sometimes they can get a bit noisy. So I think it's good to connect with your tribe and find your tribe, and it's not always going to be an easy thing to find straight away. But even just connecting with a few different groups and finding out where you fit, I think is really important. And even finding local groups where you can have a coffee catch up or join a networking events, like physical ones. If you're more a physical person and you like meeting people, I think that's great. But definitely finding mentors. I have probably about 5 mentors and my business coach. So she would really be my 6. And, you know, whilst sometimes it can get noisy, I think it's important that you trust your own gut. But so you make up your own mind, but you do ask people for their input, because sometimes they'll put ideas or just throw things out there that you wouldn't have thought of before. And there's quite a lot of times where I'll come up with these great ideas and then I'll discuss it with my mentors and they'll be like, yep, well, that's great, but have you considered this? Maybe not. Okay, I might tweak that a little bit and then come back, and it can be really valuable. So even if you can't find, you know, someone, you know, you don't want to pay to have a business coach or anything like that, just finding someone else in business that you can help each other, so help mentor each other, help inspire each other, and make sure you surround yourself with successful people that are going to lift you up and challenge you to think on a much bigger scale, I think is really important. So business groups and forums are great for sharing knowledge. So even just like what different software packages you're using. I know for me, one of my biggest challenges with my business was all about inventory, and there's not a lot out there on inventory. So, you know, I used to like speak to a few different people that had gone on Shark Tank, a bit of other businesses that I'd met, and we discussed like, how are you managing your inventory? Or I'm using this app. And that's kind of how I ended up building a lot of the software that we use, was just through sharing knowledge with other people. And it also helps you to meet potential new clients, which is always great. And also building those relationships with like-minded business owners, because it lifts you up. Like, I can't explain, even just listening to all you women this morning, like, it's great. It inspires you. It makes you feel less alone, and like you're in it together to help each other, which I think is so important in business. And I think it's also really good to establish referral networks. So obviously, you know, having that good community of, I do this, I know, you know, I know Peace does this, I know someone else does that, they'd be great for this. Like, put the hand up, refer your friends, like that whole, you know, like their posts, you know, share one of their ideas. Like, I just think it's so important that we build and lift each other up as a whole, because I think we all get so much more out of it. So my advice summary for you all today is to get clear on your top values. Make sure your daily habits match your long-term goals and values, because if you find that what matters to you is, you know, having this really successful business and spending lots of time with your family, but yet each day you're not allocating time and you're not moving in that direction, then you're going to find that you're frustrated and not going anywhere. So be repetitive. So small habits like daily meditation, journaling, and visualizing have a huge impact on success. And I think, you know, there's a reason why, when I was going through my research in 2017 about how are these people successful and why am I not successful, what everyone had in common was they were all disciplined. They all did really good habits and had a good morning routine. So you know, if you look at all successful people and they all have those traits, you got to wonder, like, why so many more of us, you know, aren't jumping on it. So for me, that was a really big eye opener back in 2017. And it's something that I think is really still vital every single day for me. So keep making time for things that matter and say no to things that don't. Don't worry so much what people think of you. If you're doing everything always in loving and kind intentions, you know, and explaining, then people who really value you will understand. So get a mentor and or a business coach, which I think is very important. And my most important thing is make sure your business makes you happy and lights you up inside. You know, when I wake up in the morning, I cannot wait to start on my business. When I go to sleep at night, I can't stop thinking about it, but in a good way, not in a bad way. And I get so excited about what potential we still have. So I think, you know, if your business lights you up and makes you happy, then everything else is going to fall into place. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions? I've lost everyone. Hang on. I need to stop sharing, don't I? There I go.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Sorry.
Presentation.
Where I've only got us two on. Have we not got videos? It looks like. Oh yeah.
There's others here, but they haven't got the camera on at the moment.
Haven't got the camera on, that's fine.
So we've got time for questions now. So if you would like to ask a question, just turn your camera on and unmute yourself and you can jump in and say hi to Rachel, either ask a question or make a comment. I'm sure she would love to hear from you. So Rachel, I loved when you were talking about your story and you were talking about how you give back. And I didn't know that that you had a giving back strategy. So can you tell us a bit more about that strategy?
Yeah, so what happened with me is, I mean, even when we first went on Shark Tank, so when we launched on Shark Tank, we wanted to find a charity to help support. So that was cystic fibrosis, which was something that I grew up with friends at school that had cystic fibrosis. I've known people that have passed away, and it's just something that was quite relevant and important for us. And we launched in the month of May, which is cystic fibrosis month, the 65 Roses. So we started with that campaign, and since then, as we've grown, I've always just wanted to find different ways to do it. And it's more for us as a business, like trying to make sure, you know, you always think if you're doing well, why can't you give that to other people? So it was really interesting listening to you yesterday, Brenda, as well, because it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be, you know, little things make a big difference. So over the time, we get asked lots of different things. We got asked recently from, after I won the 40 Under 40 Awards, someone from the Department of, now I'm going to say it's DFES, you know how they volunteer, all the firefighters, and they go out and help everyone. So there was about 50 of them, and one of the ladies loves to organise surprises for them. So she came to us and just asked, she goes, I know this is the most expensive item that we've ever asked for, but we were so excited to do that for them. We put a package together of a few different products for each of them that will help them while they're out doing their bushwalks, trying to, you know, help support and save people. So whatever, and different charities have come to us, and so whenever they do, we try and do our absolute best to help at different causes. And I think it's just really important. So, and I do a bit of both. So sometimes it will be products we donate. Even recently as well, there was a COVID team. One of Andrew, my shark, met a COVID team over there. So he bought and donated a load of our products over as well from himself. So we find different ways and avenues to do it. And so recently I got asked to be an ambassador for Women's Entrepreneurship Day. As you know, Peace, because we've just been working on that together. And that was really exciting for me too, because I'm like, I love mentoring people. I will just give my advice and try and teach whoever I can find about business, you know, whether it's teaching them how to look online for different products and commercialize products to, you know, to whatever they can do. So for me, that was really fulfilling that purpose for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Brenda, did you have a question for Rachael as well?
I did. Because I when you talked about having a business coach, so I know a couple of times I've considered that I really do need something like that. But then I look at the cost and and I sort of go, oh, you know, at the moment, I don't know if I can afford it. And I suppose it's sort of like, how do you go about choosing a business coach? Like, how do you find them without, you know, maybe going through a couple, which is also going to cost you money? How do you go about finding the right business coach for you?
Definitely.
Or how did you even go about it?
Yeah. So my executive assistant, she used to work for her CEO, and they had a very good relationship. And her CEO was the CEO of Challenger TAFE for many, many years, about 20, 30 years. She had a lot of experience, and she'd gone into coaching. So with her knowing me and knowing her, she said she'd be perfect for you, but go meet with her and see what you think. So we had coffee together first. So that was our first meetup. And I just loved her. I loved her energy. I loved, you know, how she was with me. And I was going through a really vulnerable stage then. And so she recognized how much more I needed of personal development at that point before we went through the professional stages. So for me, it was great that she was both. She was lifestyle, I suppose, and business, not just business. So it really depends on what you need out of it. But I remember walking away from that meeting just feeling lighter. So what I noticed with her now, so we only meet once a month, and sometimes that might get pushed out to 2, depending on what we've both got going on. But whenever I walk away from her, I just feel like I'm accountable. So we go through all my things, we find out where I'm at, and then she'll give me some stuff to work on next time. So it's almost like, for me, it's that building that relationship of trust and also being honest, because you need to be able to talk about the things that are, you know, upsetting you, so or on your mind, whether it's business or home. So for me, she even worked with me a little bit on my son's sleep, because he's just turned 7, but he still doesn't sleep great. So for example, he woke up at 4:30 this morning, and that was him, eyes wide open. So she's helped me a lot with that and given me strategies for that, because then that flows on to my other side of my life. So I think having someone that's going to look at the whole picture is really important, and be able to jump between different roles was valuable to me, and just go by recommendation. So someone, if you've known someone that's done it before.
Yeah, because I do have a circle. Like I know a lot of women who do business coaching, but I just need to find the right person. And
Yeah,
that's really good advice. I like that, and I think the personal development's good too, because we could always work on ourselves.
yeah.
And there's things that I know that I'm not good at. Sorry.
It's just what we've just shown. Like if you work on yourself, everything else elevates. So coming back to those basics.
That was really good, and congratulations on everything. It's just amazing. Well done.
Hi, Katrina.
I've taken my earbuds out, so I'm hoping you can hear me.
We can hear you. Yes, we can.
So, Rachel and I know each other because we met in New York last year. So,
Fabulous.
I just wanted to jump in being a coach. Brenda was just saying, look, there's lots of coaches, and you know, being a life coach is something that I actually don't use because I think there's so many, I'm going to say snake oil salesmen, and I hopefully you'll know what I mean when I say that.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean by that, Katrina.
So when you interview a coach, first of all, you know, it's like interviewing a new doctor or a new specialist, or you've got to click with them and they've got to hear you. Naturally, in my environment, I know a lot of coaches and I know a lot of business coaches, and I'm happy to recommend coaches to everybody. I'm not a business coach, I'm a life coach, even though as I said, I don't like that term. But Brenda, you need to find, my advice for you, and I know Rachel will agree with me, is you need to find somebody that has been where you've been, because I know there's a thing out there that coaches should just be one chapter ahead of you and all that sort of stuff. But I always have a coach, and I have actually 3 at the moment, because I'm always looking for my next coach, who is the next person of where I need to develop myself, either in my business or personally. You need to find someone who's doing what you want to do, or as Rach just said, a personal recommendation, because you need to know somebody who's going to have your best interests at heart and is not just wanting to take your money. I know that sounds...
No, I know, because I've had, you know, you get lots of the emails and everything like that, and, you know, do this and do this course, and I look at them, some of them, and I just go, but no, you can tell that it's just like you say, it's smoke and mirrors. It's just not for me. And I guess Richard Branson's probably not taking people on at the moment. And I was so disappointed when Shark Tank stopped, because I actually really love, is it Janelle?
Janine Ellis.
Janine Ellis, yeah. I thought, she would be great for me, because she did all this stuff with somebody's yoga pants once, or yoga. It had something in it that helped the form. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so no.
She's great.
You did really well, Rachel, with that.
Thank you. And Katrina, you're right. So what I also would steer away from as well, Brenda, is, and I don't know if you're familiar with this too, Katrina, but it's just getting sucked into anything that's ongoing or really highly expensive. So the way my coach works is we just pay for a sessional rate whenever I want to see her, and there's no connection, like as in we have to see each other or not. In fact, we were supposed to meet up this afternoon, and I just had too much going on, and I said to her, should we push it out like for a week or 2? And she's like, just wait till the end of January, unless there's anything specific you want to go through with me. Let's just, you know, it's a busy time, you know. She's very much like that. Whatever you need, I'm here. And I think if having that kind of relationship with someone is very important.
Yeah, it's got to work with coaching. It's got to work both ways. And look, I do, you know, 3-month programs, 6-month program, 12-month programs, but I also do a lot of one-on-ones where I do a lot of night work. Like a lot of my sessions are at 8:30 at 9 o'clock at night, because that's when mums have kids in bed and have time. Because coaching, to me, it's your own time. It's your private, personal time, and I want your full 100% attention. So, you know, as Rachel was saying, you need to find a coach who's willing to work around you. You know, I sometimes coach at 6 in the morning or at 5 in the morning, because that's when my clients have time for them. So you need to find somebody who's like their passion is coaching. And I'm thinking in the back of my brain about a business coach, Brenda, that I'd love to connect you with. He's a man, but don't take that against him.
I meant to be the greatest mentors, I think. Some men can be amazing.
He's a beautiful, I'm going to say heart-centered man, like just a really beautiful man. And I know he hasn't coached me. I'll put that up there, but I know he's coached a couple of girlfriends of mine, and I would only ever recommend somebody I trust 100%. So we might talk after this.
I took down your details during your talk from your slide at the end. So I've got your website.
But look, coaching, in Australia, it's still fairly new, I guess. In America, it's all the rage. And a lot of people are jumping on, trying to do that. I'll make him, and, you'll see people out there, work with me and make $1 million in, 2 minutes type of thing. For me, coaching needs to be your passion. Like, you need to want to help people. And I think coming from my psych background, the reason I love coaching is, I need to know your past, but I'm here to get you to move forward. And I think even with a business coach, you want them to love your business as much as you do.
Yep, that's true. Well, you do, because you want them to be enthusiastic and help you grow. Yeah. That's sort of why you're looking for someone to coach you, where you need to grow yourself and the strengths you need to get bigger, advise on all those sorts of things. So I think they need to have some sort of business sense.
Yeah, and have actually run their own successful business too.
Yeah. It would help.
I remember once one of my coaches said to me once, we were talking about other coaches, and he said, I'm really sick, of the broke, divorced, coaches out there, or, divorced coaches who are coaching on relationships, or broke coaches who are coaching on, financial stuff, or health coaches who shouldn't be in that area. Yeah. And I've always had this thing that I don't, suggest or mentor or recommend anything to my clients that I'm actually not doing myself. And with evidence of, most of them have watched me on, Facebook for years. So, I would never, ever recommend something that I'm actually not doing today, like myself, or haven't done myself. And with a business coach, that's what you want. You want somebody who actually, doesn't just talk the talk, but actually has walked the walk, and then now has built up a successful business, and now who's just like Rachael, mentoring, who just wants to mentor somebody else. Yeah. Not about them. And because coaching, to me, it's not about me. Like, I don't achieve unless my clients achieve. It's actually not about me. Yeah. And that's why, my name website is for my neurodiverse mums, but my new business, the Stress-Free Super Mum, because it's actually not about me. It's about where I want for all mums to be that stress-free, super mum. Yeah. It's not about me. It's about your client. And you'll get that once you start interviewing coaches. Hopefully you'll get that, unless they're full of hot air, but you should feel that connection, hopefully.
I think so. I hope so. Thank you so much. Thanks for the advice, though. It's really, it's hard. Like some things that, I don't know, some things you think should be easy are probably the hardest things sometimes, choosing the right person. And it's hard when you initially choose someone who isn't right, and then you've got to tell them, it's not about me, it's about you, and I need to break up with you and get someone else.
Yeah, and the coach has to be honest as well. I've said no to clients who've wanted to work with me. I've actually said, look, I don't think we're a good fit. Yeah. So the coach needs to be honest too. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda. So thank you so much, Rachael. We've really enjoyed your session today. Where can people get in touch with you?
So I've got my website, rachaelferguson.com.au, and also Instagram, rachel.ferguson is my handle. And that's usually where I'm mostly at, but I also obviously have SynxBody accounts as well on my phone, so I'm everywhere.
You're also on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being our special guest today and presenting your workshop.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. And thank you everybody who's joined us live and everybody who's watching on the recording. This is the end for day 3, but we're back again tomorrow for day 4 of the Back Yourself Festival. So thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Bye, everyone.
Guys, bye.